presented with challenges. We've met an artist who's doing exactly that himself. Take a minute to listen to his inspiring story. Tupelo native William Hurd's paintings are memorable. They're bright and colorful and leave a lasting impression. But nothing like the impression burned in William's mind one spring night in 2000.
March the 14th, 2000 is a day I will always remember. I'll never forget. I was going to school at Mississippi State. Some friends and I were out, a normal night, just hanging out. And the ride home, as we got close to the house, he lost control of the car, and the car fishtailed and went in a ditch. I was sitting in the back seat, and I wasn't wearing my safety belt, and I got thrown from the back seat into the windshield, and I broke my C5-6 vertebrae. I hit the back of my neck right there, and in an instant I knew I was paralyzed. And they rushed me to the hospital in Starkville. They took x-rays and determined that it was broken, and then from that point they put me in an ambulance and drove me straight to Tupelo.
After finally stabilizing at Tupelo, William transferred to the Shepherd Center in Atlanta to begin his rigorous regime of physical and occupational therapy. But physical barriers were not the only obstacles William had to overcome.
In the beginning, I was very depressed. My mindset was not in the right place. I pretty much, in the beginning, wanted to die. I didn't want to live. It was really dark. I was mad at the world, mad at God. I was not nice to my family and my friends.
Most people with disabilities, if they have lost some function as the result of an injury, or they've incurred some type of a disability and they lose some function in their body, they're going to go through those same 7 stages of grief that you go through if you lose a loved one. So yeah, you go through the disbelief, the anger, the depression, the denial, and then finally the acceptance.
After that year of being depressed and drinking myself to oblivion, one night I woke up the next day thinking, this is just, I can't live my life like this. This is not who I was before my accident. I've got to move on. I've got to get on with it.
And move on, William did. After finding solace and creative release in art, William searched for new ways to paint with limited finger dexterity.
This movie came on called Pollock. It's about Jackson Pollock, a famous artist in the 50s, who I knew nothing about. Didn't really know much about any artist at this point. But this show came on, and it showed how Jackson Pollock was sitting in his barn painting one day, and paint dripped from his paintbrush onto the floor, and then he started slinging paint onto the canvas.
Drip painting was the answer. William found that by sticking brushes and spoons into styrofoam balls, he could control the paint.
So I'd roll up down the hall and stick a spoon in the paint and lean over and drip paint onto the canvas. After a time of doing that, I looked down, and all my cups and bowls, there's different color paints that dripped into them. And so I said, well, let me just use a bowl. And I just grabbed a bowl of paint and just dumped on the canvas. And
his technique continued to develop from there, and so did his love of painting.
I like painting because I like what it makes me think. I think of happy thoughts. It's fun. It's positive. As my painting grows, I grow with them.
The joy and fulfillment William found in art inspired him to share that experience with others. And so, Our Artworks was born.
Our Artworks is a nonprofit organization we started around in '05. It was a grant we applied for from the Department of Rehabilitation Services.
He came to me, he was doing his artwork, he was so good at it, and he wanted to start a class in Tupelo. His whole goal there with Our Artworks was to get just enough money, not a lot, but just enough money to purchase some supplies so that he could bring other people with disabilities into his studio and allow them to experience the same joy that he experiences every day when he's doing his artwork. And it's just taken off, and his students love it.
I started out coming up here just to socialize because I wasn't before my injury I was never very artistic and didn't think that I really had that ability until I was encouraged more and more by William to finally start painting. I finally gave it a shot, and actually was surprised that I had a creative side that I really didn't know about.
When you first get injured, or if you have an injury, you feel safe at home, and people with disabilities are a little hesitant about getting out into the community, getting back out in the public, getting back out trying to live a normal life. What we have at the shop, our artworks, we can come there. It's in the center of Tupelo, and it's a gathering place where we meet, we can socialize, we do lots of different types of art, which is creating art is, you have a sense of achievement, like you've accomplished something.
I think that expressing ourselves when you have a disability is very important. It's one of the things that keeps you from getting hermit-like or depressed. And William's helped a lot of people in the Tupelo area to avoid that by bringing them into his art classes and teaching them how to express themselves through art.
One of William's favorite figures to paint is the butterfly. He sees it as indicative of the transformation he experienced after his accident. On the back of every butterfly that he paints, William writes a poem that he composed years ago.
As I free in the sun, on the flowers I can run. My arms or my legs, as far as I can spread. Guide me through the wind is the call of my course, finding the answers, questioning remorse. The beauty of the beast grows inside a cocoon, finding its way out to the moon. This journey is a long and endless ride. With all my wings, I challenge the sky.